Hello everyone, today we're going to be making a folio for my newest Kindle. Alright, I made this one back in 2011-ish, so that's over almost over a decade ago, and fourth generation, looks pretty good. A little bit of boxing around the edges, around here, but overall, this folio is looking really, really good. When I bought this one last year off of eBay, I thought I'll just buy one. I'm not going to make one. I'm going to waste my time making one. And this is what it looks like over a year. Almost a decade, over a year. So either this is really crappy product or I use my Kindle a lot. Maybe a little bit of both. So I'm definitely going to be making a new one. Now, what should I be making? Well, when I make these things for my, my tablets and folios and things and the like, I usually pull inspiration from my childhood, like this Never-Ending Story one here. So this one is being inspired by Tom Riddle's diary. So we're going to be making Tom Riddle's diary basically with this. It's pretty simple, a faux black leather wrapping with brass corners, or in my case, faux brass. So I'm pretty excited about doing this project, and it should be pretty simple. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is measure out your illustration board. Technically, I should be using double weight illustration board and not single weight, because when you add glue to it, it sometimes curl. Plus, this is a very old piece of illustration board that's already curled, so you'll see me trying to bend it back into shape. I set my calipers to the thickness of the Kindle and lock it in so I can go to it and I don't have to re-measure it later. All right, I measure twice, cut once, and here we go, cutting out the first panel. The next is the edge. Get my calipers again, and let's cut out the edge of the book as a separate piece. Put that off to the side, that looks good. As you see, I'm bending my board and cutting out the back piece, and that should do it. Do a quick dry fit real quick, make sure everything looks good, thickness is good, and it does. Next, we are going to glue a piece of paper just to connect everything, and you have a little space between the edges and the front and back of the board. Now the paper doesn't have to go across everything, just as long as it connects the two. Sometimes I've had it only go halfway across the front and back board, but as long as it covers that center, you're good to go. Once you've trimmed it, you can do a dry fit. Let's find my Kindle, wrap it in paper just in case there's any glue spillage. I don't get it on my Kindle, and do a real quick dry fit, and it looks good. So on to the next step, I guess. And then now we have to cut the exterior, which is a faux leather. I usually leave about 1/4 of an inch-ish. Doesn't have to be accurate. More accurate, the better it looks, but about 1/4 inch all the way around. And that way when we flop it over on edges, look really, really nice. So, yeah. So once that's cut out, we have to use contact glue on both sides. So we got to spray. The way it works is you spray both sides of what you want to attach, and when they dry, they're fairly tacky or somewhat dry, but when they come in contact with each other, they stick like nobody's business. So try not to mess this part up. So you want to be very careful. I start with the center first, so it doesn't bunch up in the center, and then lay the sides down. Just like that. Give it a good push. It's probably best to do this on a table and not the carpet, because you want that resistance. And you'll see me use a scrap piece of illustration board like here to push it down. Now what I'm doing is cutting little V-shaped notches at the very corners of the book, trying to leave a little piece of fabric where the edge of the book is. I probably made these V-cuts a little too big, but again, it's such a small book, and hopefully it won't matter. And then the corners get a 45-degree angle, the best you can. Again, the more accurate, the better it's going to look and easier to put together, but I've done this so many times that I'm okay with it looking a little sloppy because it's going to get covered up anyways by the chrome corners or fabric. So we give this a spray again so we can glue the sides in. We can fold it over and glue it. So as you can see, we're going to be folding those over, and as you can see, the 45-degree angle allows it to fold over without overlapping each other. Now don't worry about the corners still not being covered because those are going to be covered by the brass corner pieces. Alright, now that we've done that, let's do a quick dry fit again. You always want to double check this because the more fabric and stuff you add to it, the thicker the stuff gets, and it's sometimes harder to close. So everything looks really good, and give it an extra burnishing. It looks like the edges weren't completely down, so now that looks good. Time to cut the interior piece as well. So what I got is a faux suede, and again, just like before, cutting it a little longer or bigger, and so we can trim later. And once we're got this trimmed, we're going to go do the spray glue again and put it back together. So let's go ahead and trim the rest of this. We are good to go. Time to spray. Now that both pieces have been sprayed, all right, again, like before, you want to be very careful when putting this thing down because once it sticks, it doesn't like to come off each other. I did mess up a little bit here. Lucky enough that I didn't push it down hard, so I was able to get off and readjust. All right, so smooth that out and push all the corners down, the edges especially. This is where you want to concentrate. Let's do a dry fit real quick, I believe, just to make sure that it didn't add even more thickness, and it looks pretty good. So now all we have to do is trim off all the edges, and that's pretty much it. Once that's done, the interior book is pretty much done. Now, for this, you definitely want to trim from the back and not the front, or like I'm doing here, because you do run the risk of cutting your cover. I've done this again enough times I didn't, but on the sides I did turn it over so that the back was facing up, and so we got a really nice trim around the book. So what are we going to do next? Now is the corners. Now I ordered these corners as an assortment you can get on Amazon, and I'm just trying to find the one that I think looks best for the book. This is all aesthetic, so you can choose whatever you want. You can go plain, decorative, or whatever. So in order to get these things on, you got to basically crimp them into place. And what I used is my metal ruler to protect the surface of the design element of the brass corners. So when I crimped it, it didn't damage the piece. It only bent the back end so it connects to the book. So definitely make sure you do that if you go this route with your corners, or you can leave them blank. You don't need to have corners at all. I just think it looks really, really nice. Once all four corners are on, now we got to put the Kindle actually inside the book. So you're probably wondering how we're going to keep the Kindle inside the folio. Well, because I have a 3D printer, I made this. I didn't design this. I'm not going to claim credit for it. I found it online. It's basically a case for the Kindle. And yeah, so I'm just going to glue this inside and call it the day. Now that we have it finished, what we're going to do next is just simply super glue it in. And then that's pretty much the end of the project. Once it's glued in and the glue is set, it's good to go. You can start showing it off to your friends and saying, "Hey, look, I'm cursed," or yeah, or whatever, possessed, whatever Ginny Weasley was. Okay, so here we are at the end of the project, and here we go. Again, this is a really simple project. There's, not much detail to it. It's, as I said, a simple black leather wrap with, brass corners. The only thing that would make it nicer is my name at the bottom on the back side, just like Tom Riddle's is. I may have my wife do that with a Cricut machine, so that'll probably be the last thing I put on here. Maybe when I post a picture, I'll have it on there. But yeah, use this same technique for your tablets or your Kindles or whatever it is you want to reskin. Could be an old paperback book you want to reskin and give new life. Change out the leather to different materials and steampunk it out, or make it more ancient or more modern. Sky's the limit. So again, if I can do it, you can do it. It's not a hard project. It didn't take long. So I'll see you next time, and you have a good day.